Do you need to move a solution in Dataverse for Teams from one environment to another? Are you unable to use pipelines? Well, you can't use pipelines with Dataverse for Teams, or can you? Would you like repeatable steps? Do you need to drill into what changes have taken place between solution builds? Well, today I'm going to show you a tool that will make this process easier by using a PowerShell script run locally that will connect out to Dataverse for Teams, pull down your solution, unpack it, and then once you've finished examining your solution, it allows you to repack the solution and push it into another Dataverse for Teams environment. I'm Tech Tweedy, let's get started. First of all, let's have a look to see what we don't need today. We don't need Azure DevOps. Azure DevOps is a fantastic tool. However, we don't need it to perform this process today. I do have an Azure DevOps extension coming out very soon. It's currently released in preview, and it does allow you to connect to Dataverse for Teams in order to export solutions and then import them to another environment. However, not today. What you do need is we need a GitHub account if we want to follow this video step by step. We also need Git installed locally and Visual Studio Code. We also need to be able to set the execution policy to unrestricted for the current user. This won't be possible for everyone. However, if it is possible in your machine, that's fantastic. Alternatives, if you can't do this locally, are to potentially use a GitHub code space, which is a machine essentially in the cloud that allows you to move things around, and therefore you're slightly freer from local IT policies. So let's dive into a demo. So we're going to start by just navigating to the repository on Dataverse for Teams. And in that repository, we're going to click on this button at the top that says use this template. And we're going to click on create a new repository. Now I'm doing this in my own environment, so I'm just going to clone this repository to another organization I've got access to. So I'm going to clone it across to iTweedy. I'm just going to name it Dataverse for Teams Demo. I'm going to make it public, but you may want to make yours private. And what this has done now is it's cloned the repository into another space for me. I'm now going to copy the URL to my clipboard, so when I go into VS Code, I can clone the repository down to my local machine. Just make sure I've copied that. Now inside VS Code, I just need to type clone, and that pops git clone for me. And then I just provide the URL of the repository. Select the local folder. Give it a name. And there we have it. We've got our repository on our local machine. Now this repository contains the script which we'll use to move our solution backwards and forwards. Now, if extensions haven't installed automatically for you, because this does come with extensions that would launch for you, you can just go to your settings and search for extensions and then disable the button that says ignore recommendations. Then if we close our Visual Studio Code down and reopen it, we should see at the bottom corner, when it opens, it recommends that we install some extensions. There we go. And these extensions just allow you to operate nice and smoothly. All the tools that you need. If you want to view them, you can see them. They are inside of the folder structure. If you click on the .vs code folder, inside there you can see the extensions that are automatically installed. Now I've also configured a dev container should you want to run this in a dev container locally. Now let's have a look at the README file. README file contains very similar to information to what's on the blog. And the first thing we're going to do is click on the link and navigate to our environments in the admin center. Give me a moment just to log in. There we go. Now we're just going to click in our development environment. And we need to get our environment ID. That's this number GUID here. Numbers and letters string. And I'm just going to make a new file in here to keep a note of that GUID because I'm going to need it in a little bit. Let's go back and see what the next step is. Next, we're going to do the same for our test environment, which is where we're going to be pushing our solution into. I'm just going to paste that in here as well. Just update the names there so they make a bit more sense. What I'm next going to do is I'm just going to check that these environments contain the solution and what the solution is. So to do that, I can just navigate to any environment and then copy and paste that GUID into the URL at the top. And you'll see that I've managed to navigate into a Dataverse for Teams maker environment. And I'm just going to copy this solution name because I'm going to need it. And I'm going to go to the target just so I can show you that this solution doesn't currently exist in the target environment. Here we go. I look at all solutions. Okay. Let's move on to the next step. So what we're going to do is we're going to export a solution, unpack it locally. This then gives us the opportunity to review it, repack the solution, import the solution, and then publish customizations. Now we've got an example here of the PowerShell we need to run. So we're just going to paste that into this file just so it gives us a space to update our values. Now one thing you'll note here is that I've actually used the same environments for building out this script and writing the documentation, so I actually don't need to update the value, but I'm just going to show you here that that's the value and that's where it goes. Open up the terminal and I'm going to run this script here. There we go. Oh, okay, so it doesn't work. So what I need to do is I need to enable the execution of PowerShell scripts just by updating the policy. Let's just take a moment to do that. First of all, I'm going to grab the current execution policy and I can see it's set to restricted. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set the execution policy to unrestricted. And as I said in the introduction, if you're not able to do this on your local machine, that's okay. You've got other options such as GitHub code spaces. Fantastic, look, script is now running. and it's given me a device code login. So I'm going to copy this login code and click on this link. Paste this code in. Brilliant. It's then logged me in. And as we can see from the output, connecting up to our Dataverse for Teams development environment, and it's exporting an unmanaged solution. It's now unpacking the unmanaged solution. And with this particular script, it's also unpacking the Canvas apps. However, the Canvas apps aren't repacked with this particular set of scripts. And look, it's completed, and we can explore our solution. Now, this is really handy if you're using a Git repository, because you can see the difference between the commits. And if someone makes a change, you can check that the changes are roughly what you're expecting to see in your environment. For instance, if they're making table changes, then you should be able to see the fact that tables have been changed. If they're making changes to a Canvas app, likewise, you'd see changes in a folder structure which resembles that. Now we're going to release our solution. Now we can release it with a settings file, and we can also release it as managed or unmanaged. Now today we're going to release it without a settings file because we don't have any environment variables we want to pass, but we are going to release it as managed. As you can see, once again, to write the documentation, I use this particular target environment. What I've got here, I've also got an environment settings file. Now I don't need the environment settings file because, as I said, we're not setting any environment settings. Let's copy this script and let's run it from the root of my folder. And let's give that a go. It's doing the same as before. It's connecting up to Dataverse for Teams and it's asking for a device login. Let's just copy and paste this code in. And as we can see there, our solution is importing. What we're seeing here with the percentages is not the percentage that the solution has been imported. We're in fact seeing the percentage of maximum time allocated that has been used so far. Awesome, and as we can see, it's completed. And if we just go and check inside our environment, you can see that the solution was there. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to commit our changes to our Git repository. And this just means we've got a copy of them for later, should anything happen. Now you'll see there we need to set our username and our email address. Let's just do that before we can commit them. Pop my name in here. Fantastic. Now if we try and commit this again, should work. Now if we go and view our commit, we can see all the changes that were made. And as this is the first time we've brought this solution in, everything's a change. As you can see, using this script, you can move solutions easily between Dataverse for Teams environments. If you found this script useful and this video helpful, then please like, share and subscribe. And until next time, stay safe.